A couple of weeks ago I announced that I had ordered a new EV to replace the MG ZS. It wasn't quite what I planned. When I sold the ZS, I planned that the Kangoo ZE would do the short stuff running around town, the BMW i3 would do slightly longer journeys, and I would use a petrol car to do my stupid 220-mile round-trip commute. I've barely been in the office at all in the past year, and so making the occasional journey petrol-powered wasn't really that big a concern for me. Unfortunately, things are about to change, and I'm about to have to regularly go in and regularly make that trip, so I'd like to do so on electric power again. So a couple of weeks ago I announced I'd ordered another EV, and quite a lot of you have been trying to guess what that is. I think the MG5 long range has to be the favourite, with its 250-mile range and its low price tag at just under £25,000 if you get the right deal. That's probably the favourite, and I can see why. Quite a lot of you are convinced that's definitely what's on its way. My car's been delivered today actually. I'm just going to show you what it is in a moment. Quite a lot of people were quite keen on the Hyundai Kona as well. Almost a 300-mile range on that one. For the money, it's quite hard to beat. Lots of satisfied Kona owners out there. A lot of you telling me how much you loved your car and you thought it would be absolutely ideal for my use case. And I've bought neither of those, and I don't think you're going to have seen this one coming at all. So this is my 2021 Audi e-tron 55 Black Edition. Didn't see that coming, did you? I think it's safe to say there's been a little bit of budget and scope creep on this one. Not quite what I had in mind originally. But let's take a closer look, shall we? Join me in this really quite luxurious cabin. Lovely plush leather seats, leather on the dashboard, and lovely leather steering wheel. It's a luxury car. Let's address the elephant in the room first and foremost, shall we? No, I did not walk into an Audi dealer and give them £80,560 and drive away in this car. That would be stupid. I mean, I've done something a little bit stupid, but not quite that stupid, okay? So this car is actually a monthly subscription car from Onto. Onto are basically a hire company. They only have EVs, and you sign up for a 30-day subscription. They've got a little bit of everything from a Renault Zoe or a Volkswagen e-up all the way up to the Audi e-tron. And of course, starting with the most expensive one was definitely the baptism of fire. I needed to see if the service was any good. This isn't a sponsored video. Onto haven't given me this car for free. I'm paying for this with my own money, but a lot of people talk about them, and I wanted to see if the service was any good. And I thought the best way to do that was to get a hold of one of their cars and have a go. Didn't really set out specifically to have the e-tron, but it was available for near immediate delivery. I wonder why. And so I thought, let's start there and let's see what it's like. It's a 30-day minimum term, and then it's a rolling 30-day contract after that. It's fairly easy to then swap up or down, in this case, into another EV as you require, or to just cancel it, send the car back. It's an all-inclusive package. It includes insurance, it includes any maintenance, tyres, all that stuff. And it also includes charging, which is quite interesting. So in the glove box here, I have a Shell fuel card, or charge card, an Instavolt card, and a BP Pulse card. And these are for charging this car. I can charge this car at any of the charge stations that these cards cover, and it's included in the monthly amount. So that's pretty useful, and that should lend itself to us maybe trying out some charging networks that I don't tend to use very often. The Shell card specifically covers quite a lot of different networks, including Ionity. So that should be quite good. And another reason I decided to go with the e-tron was a lot of people talk about this car and a lot of people slate this car. I don't think that many of the people telling you about it and slating it have ever even sat in one, let alone driven one. Or if they have, they've maybe borrowed a press demonstrator for half an hour and driven it around the block. Very few people that actually give you information about cars like this will actually have spent any time with one. So I'm hoping that if I spend a month or two in it, maybe a little bit longer, I'm sure I'll come to really like it and not want to give it back, then I can give you the real story. I can show you exactly what this car's like to live with. I can show you exactly what it's like in terms of the charging speeds and stuff, because it's supposed to be a faster charging car. It's supposed to be able to pull 150 kilowatts. It's supposed to be able to make use of those faster chargers. But does it in reality? Because we know that charging speed can be very dependent on a number of factors. And I think a lot of people slate these cars just because, oh, it's huge. I mean, it is huge. It's absolutely massive in here. And it's a big 3-ton SUV, and that's terrible. And it's actually, you know, you're saying it's good for the environment, but it's not really because you're driving about in a big heavy car. And while some of that is true, if we want to get the people that are currently driving Range Rovers, Audi Q7s, Q8s, and that kind of stuff, the big heavy SUVs that are doing 17 miles to the gallon, those are the people that would actually be really beneficial to get into electric. But is there alternative, which at the moment really it is the e-tron, the Mercedes EQC and the Tesla Model X. Those really are your choices if you want a big luxury SUV. Are they any good? Are they good enough to get people out of those cars and into these? And whilst you might not agree with people having cars like this, people do. It's a very real thing, and you're not going to change that. So pushing them into electric versions has to be a good thing. So what is the e-tron actually like? That is going to be my goal, to be able to tell you honestly, what is it actually like to live with? Now, I haven't had much chance to try it out yet. We'll be bringing you future videos with showing what it's like to actually drive and live with. But I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm hoping that, although some of you might not be particularly interested in cars like this, and I think there will be quite a lot of comments, oh, I could never afford one of those, it would still be quite interesting to know what it's like to live with, I think. And I mean, I can't afford to go and buy one of these either. It's only because I can pay quite a high monthly rate to rent it for a little bit that I could even afford to sit in this car. So hopefully my experiences are going to be a little bit like yours would be if you did manage to get one yourself. And so I'm hoping it's not going to put you off too much. I'm hoping that what you're going to see is what I'm trying to do is actually bring you real EV ownership experiences and show you how it is, and try and actually paint this in as honest a light as possible. And that's definitely the plan. And what I hope it'll also do with the sort of subscription nature of Onto and how easy it is to switch from one EV to another is that when they have something of interest, or I get bored of this, I can switch into another car and we can start the whole process again. And I don't need to actually keep buying and selling cars just to be able to drive different ones and bring you different content. So I do think they'll be good. So it's definitely not quite what I think anybody had in mind. As you see, I've been teasing you all week with posts and polls and all that stuff. Nobody at any point said, I think you're going to have an Audi e-tron. If you were paying attention though, the thumbnail of this week's news video and the segments with the PodPoint website in the EV for Beginners cable selection video might have given you a little clue. I thought I'd throw that in there just as a little Easter egg, but nobody seemed to pick up on it. Anyway, this was just a brief, this is what I've got, this is what's going on, to answer the questions, to stop you all wondering. And I'll be back very soon with some proper first drive, first impressions, what's it actually like type content, and we'll go from there. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.